Good evening, everybody. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. अरे स्क्रीन में आ जा रहे हैं स्क्रीन में आ जा रहे हैं अरे हाउ कैन आई
Evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of our President, Dr. Shubhasri Sarkar Jamshedpur Sahodaya School Complex, I, Rakhi Chaudhary, welcome you all. Uh, Good evening to our resource person, Sanchita ma'am also.
Good evening, ma'am.
Are we ready to start, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So, again, I would like to welcome every one of you, whoever is there online. Okay, and good evening. And I start my session right now. So, the topic, as you all know, it is advantage of holistic learning. Okay. Now, as you can see the screen in front of you, you can see the picture or image of John Dewey. We all know that he was such an somewhere somebody's microphone is on. Some sort of noise is coming in the back. Yes, now it's okay. Now you see, now you can see that John Dewey in front of us. Okay, so now he was a great educationist, a great thinker. Now, what he said, that time, many years ago, he said that if we teach our students the way we taught them yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow. That means he actually explained this transitional education platform. So today's children, what we are seeing are tomorrow's citizen, tomorrow's responsible people to lead our country. So that is why we need to make them competent. We need to make them competent so they are future ready. So what that is the reason, so many educational structures are changing. Okay, so why this educational structures are needed? Because again, I repeat, we have to make them future ready. Okay, now what is holistic learning? Actually, what is holistic learning? Holistic learning is actually a form of experiential learning. Now, what is experiential learning? Now, you see, as per the old English saying is, you teach me, I will forget. You show me, I will remember. And you engage me, I will keep it a memory to carry it lifelong, and I would understand better. That means what? See, it is not only for our children, it is for us also. What do we see, we remember better. What we hear, we little somewhere we forget. And what we do it, that means hands on. Okay, so we remember them better. Now, when we are doing things with our hand, it is some sort of a different experience. Okay, now have you ever heard of the 3H theory? Now, what is 3H theory? Head, heart, and the hand. That means what? You need to understand from the head. If you see things, that means you have the psychomotor activity. So that is what actually experiential learning is. Now, when we are, I would come to that in the later part. Now, first of all, you see here. Now, whenever we are engaging a child into holistic activity, we need to understand that our education system is individual, student oriented. That means we don't have a particular formula, one socks fit formula that is going to fit every children, because whenever we are having a classroom, we are having a segregated community. That means children from different intellectual levels, okay, from different social background, their ability to understand is variously different. And some children, every child is excellent in their own way. So see, Albert Einstein long ago had already said that everybody is a genius. So, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is a stupid. That means what? Every child is unique. They have got their individual excellence in their individual field, isn't it? For example, uh, Sachin Tendulkar, we know he's a renowned cricketer. He was a renowned cricketer. He was India's captain. But if he tried singing, he might sing well. I don't know that. But as per his professional excellence, he's an excellent cricketer, unmatched. So that means we can't judge his singing. He might be a good singer, it's okay, but he is better in its own way. So that way, sometimes, subject wise also, some children are excellent in mathematics, some are excellent in drawing. So that is why, first of all, our education system presently, if we follow that NEP 2020, according to that, the total framework has become very much flexible. That means we have multi-cognitive way of approaching a particular subject, and we also have a collaborative learning method. So what is collaboration? We can adjust, for example, art integration, sports integration. So that way, if we follow those, okay, if we follow those, what will happen? Our holistic activity, that topic of today, will have maximum advantage. We can take this maximum advantage of this system of education. Okay, so that is the there. And whenever we come to the holistic, that means practical oriented. So these are few of the topics that has to be learned or understood rather. Okay, now I know, since we all are teacher, we all are excellent in our academics, we know the subject better. But here the present thing is how you see subject matter. When an examination is a content driven assessment, that means how much the child imbibes the content of that particular subject or that particular chapter, we assess them during the examination. Okay, so that assessment or the content can be taught by various methods. Okay, so we can use collaboration skills, we can have open-ended, that means children can also come out with their own expression. See, that is what, see, actually we all are doing that. Integration, motivation, collaboration, cooperation, these are all real challenges. We are doing it every day in our classroom apart from these taglines. Okay, so what actually are these? See, these are the philosophy on which we are going to act when we are having this holistic approach to the particular subject. For example, we have a project work. Okay, take for example, if you take a class 6 child, that air movement, air has got force to move. Okay, that is a very common. Can anyone suggest me that air movement, how will you suggest in a holistic way, rather a project work to show that air has got the capacity to move? Yes, can anybody? Can anybody there? Please suggest me a way. See, I am repeating my question again. For example, air can move anything. Okay. So holistic approach is an easy way of depicting a topic. Okay. By way, they will do it in the project work. So can anybody tell me? Any idea? Any idea? Yes, anybody? That holistic approach towards air has movement. Anybody? Yes, balloon. Somebody said balloon. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Manisha said moving of the tree. Yes, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Then I would, yes, Firki. Firki is a wonderful example. See, so many of you out there, you're giving your wonderful reaction. That means we already know what holistic is. We know its advantages. For example, windmill. Yes, Neha Kumari, thank you so much. Yes, kite is also an example. Sailboat is also an example. See, these are the things. Now, for example, we teach it directly in the chapter. Okay. In the chapter, we all teach that air can move something this way, that way, whatever in the detail. Okay. Detail, the theory, we give it. Now, among the classroom, few might be interested. Okay, few may not be. So now we are dealing with, actually the problem is we are dealing with children equipped and imbibed with a 21st century skill. They are born with it, they are pro version of children. So that is why we have this even holistic activity, that blended learning technology. Art integration and blended learning is also an example. See, our child, they are well acquainted with Google. They are well acquainted with the YouTube. So there, they see, they hear, and they understand better, right? So even Google and all is also, blended learning technology. You blend these technology, you visualize those videos present there, and you amalgamate with the chapter. So this is also an example of holistic approach. Now, what are the benefits? See, our topic today is an holistic approach, right? So for that, just a minute. I want to share this. Klob's learning. See, this is also a very, very one second. I want this image to come out, Second, something two images. Just give me one. Yes. See, now here, this is actually the Klob's learning. Okay. So Klob's learning one, the experience is here. Testing of ideas, observation. So first is what, when we are dealing with holistic activity, first and foremost is the experience. Okay. That means you experience the whatever event we are doing. So that experience is very important. And since, we all have done sessions on experiential learning, that means we learn the experience. First is any event, basically we learn the experience. Now, after learning the experience, what do we do? For example, see, recipes. For the ladies out there, see, there are so many recipes presently in the YouTube all, and it's very trending, So first you see a recipe, not always with a classroom. Let me go with a little holistic here. Okay, so with the experience, so first we see the recipe. Okay, in the YouTube. So here we get the experience of that particular recipe, visualizing that, we see the ingredients, we see the things being done. Now after that, when you see that, you observe and reflect. What I saw, acha ye aise bana tha, so let me give it a try. We can give it like that. So then after the reflection, you develop an idea. You develop the idea, right? That how we are going to do. Then after you develop the idea, you test the ideas in practice. So when you test the ideas in practice, first time It may not be a successful one, but you give it a thinking. So that is brainstorming activity, and that would give you a practical experience and carry over for a lifetime, isn't it? So next time when you see the recipe and prepare biryani from the YouTube, you see that you are following Claude's learning cycle. Okay. I want to show you another slides here. Yes. Now see here, experiential learning cycle. Now here is also a modified form, and again I am going with the Claude's cycle, learning cycle, because this is very integral part. See, in our learning experience, when we were doing on B.Ed and all, we all have gone through this. Okay, so holistic experience is exactly here. So experiential learning cycle. What is experiential learning cycle? You know, that is how you motivate a child into holistic activity. First, you get a concrete experience. So how do you get a concrete experience? We get a concrete experience by doing or having an experience. Okay. For example, you introduce a child into a project work, or you demonstrate the experiment. For example, that firki making or whatever the firki is, you bring that idea to the child and you perform that. So first experience is always given, showing, engaging, everything. Now after that, what the child is doing, he is reflecting the observation. That means he is thinking, oh, ma'am showed that we have to use papers, ma'am showed that we have to use some kind of you know what, pins, wires, whatever we need. So he would be reflecting and reviewing what he had from the experience. I see, for firki I'm just giving an experience, when example, sorry, but you can make anything, any experiment with a child that you give. Okay, any demonstration is always a concrete experience. That means you give an experience to the child. The child observes and reflects it. Okay, and finally, when the child observes and reflects it, what is there? You give an abstract conceptualization. Now, what is an abstract conceptualization? This is where the brainstorming activity and multi-cognitive activity, here it is there. And finally, when the child is actively experimenting, and when the final outcome, what is there, that is actually the result. That is the psychomotor. You storm the brain, you induce the activity in the child, the thinking process goes on. Here, you know, some critical thinking also is there if the child wants to modulate your experimentation. So that is also, and final outcome is the active experimentation. So this is the core, you know, of experiential learning, and that is experiential learning is what actually it is the holistic. These are the advantages, you know, how you introduce the holistic learning experience in the child. Okay. Now, Now, here you see, experiential learning is a process of acquiring skill and expertise by doing things. So this is actually what is the outcome we demand from the children, isn't it? Because whatever we are doing, it is actually for the children to learn better. It is for the children to understand better. So whatever learning, that means whatever content you have, that whatever syllabus you have for the child, the teaching learning outcome at the end of the day, that it counts. And you know, teaching learning outcome is always, if it is holistic, you get 100% output, isn't it? For example, as academician or as teachers rather, we have our academic academics. Okay, academics means we might be very meritorious, we must be having scholarships, we have those merit certificates, whatever. Okay, but if you come to the classroom and at the end of the day your child does not understand anything, it is a great failure for us as a teacher and as a school if we correlate in that way. So that is the reason, to make the learning experience better, it is always the holistic approach to a particular thing that is very, very advantageous. That means for a very positive teaching learning outcome, these are one of the advantages of holistic thing. Okay, because child experience and they acquire the skill while learning. So acquiring skill is a very holistic, that means hands-on activity. Again, what I said in the beginning, the 3H formula. You give the activity, the experience is in the head. They reflect, it is in the heart. And psychomotor, they come to the fingers or hands-on. So that is actually example of holistic activity. Okay. Now, the purpose of experiential learning is to learn from one's mistake. That means what? Whenever we are engaging a child into an holistic activity, the results may be disastrous. It is not, for example, those of you who have tried baking, your first cake may not have come out an excellent one. So next time when you have expertise that, you might have become excellent bakers. So remember the first experience. That means what? Whenever we make a mistake. Now, for example, if we are having any holistic activity, for example, practical. Okay. Now, scooty seekhna hai. Okay. So whenever you are doing that, for example, first you need to balance, you adjust the brakes, you adjust the handbrake with the speed, with the road that you do. Okay. Now, if you are a new learner, obviously first time, those activity will not be perfect. So when you make a mistake, अच्छा down में मुझे accelerator लेना था, अरे वहां brake लेना था, वहां brake लिए क्यों? So those are the mistakes. Mistakes gives you a memory. Whatever mistakes you are making, it would give you a memory to improvise it in the next chance. So that is the consequences. These are the consequences. And finally, what you get it is the achievement. Achievement is the result. What you learn from that experience. Okay, so that means whenever you are performing any hands-on activity, it is an experience. It is an experience for the children. So whenever it's an experience for the children, first is mistake, the consequences of that, and then finally it is the achievements. Okay, so that is very important. So you can even take a screenshot of this because this is the core. Now what requires, whenever you are doing any activity, what requires is self-initiative and self-assessment. What is self-initiative? That means whenever you are doing a work, so whenever you are doing something, that initiativeness is there. See, if you don't want to do anything, if your activity is given, what is the result? So somewhere, whenever you are doing self motivation is required. So that is known as self initiated. मान लो कि अगर क्लास में हम कोई project work दिए, if I give any project work to a classroom, the child has to be motivated first to go into the activity. If proper motivation is not there, that self-initiative will not come. Okay. Now, whenever the initiation takes place, you don't have to think after that. The child will draw. For example, even a chart paper drawing. If you motivate the child, self-initiative will come on. And after that, self-assessment, the child will see, oh, this particular part of the work, I'm not satisfied with it. On this particular part, I'm very much satisfied. So that is how So why is experiential learning an effective way to learn? Can anybody just tell me that this holistic method, hands-on activity, it is related to experiential learning. So why is it effective way to learn? Any suggestion from your side? Yes. Any suggestion? Why is it so effective? Yes, anybody? Why is experiential learning an effective way to learn? That means whenever, yes, somebody, I just missed it out. Yes, yes, Manisha, thank you so much. We can correct. Yes, we learn from, definitely we learn from our mistakes. Yes. And anybody else? Yes, learning by doing. Yes, yes. Yes, definitely. It memorizes. Yes, that's fantastic. We memorize any activity. That means what? The memory is sustainable. See, this experiential learning, that means the process of learning is sustainable, and the way we keep it. We can keep it. Okay. Yes, easy to learn by doing. That is the thing. And this is the point, Okay. Thank you so much for your wonderful interaction. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, the thing is, what we learn, see, learn from experience. That is actually what it is. Okay. So we learn from the experience. That means from your answer, learning is a continuous process. Yes, learning is definitely a continuous process, but the way we learn, we keep it to our memory. Okay. Learn from their own mistakes. Now here you have a positive experience, so make learning fun. So this fun experience, if learning is a very boring, monotonous, stressful matter, we don't remember, we don't want to learn, isn't it? How many of you, just tell me, that you want to learn in that same rote learning process where you take a paper, you write it on the board and ask the children to do it like that? Nowadays, children will not follow all this. Yes. Yes, can anybody tell me a positive experience? How learning can be made fun? Funful learning, joyful learning, these all we have already done. So, how is that possible? Can anybody tell me? How is joyful learning can be fun? See, holistic activity every time by action. Action can be anything. Action can be boring. Action can be sometime making trip. Yes. Yes. Whoever had made, yes, sometimes trip. That means science oriented subjects, SST oriented subject, there every time we can always have a field trip. I tell you one experience. See, I am basically a biology teacher taking class 11 and class 12. Okay. So class 11, class 12, those of you are from the bio group, you very well know that class 11, those of you from the bio group, there are some topics, where the terminologies are very difficult to understand and chapters are very boring when we deal with classification. Those from the non-bio group, I tell you, classification is a topic, is a subject where you have to just learn the classification, which order, which class, which category the organism begins. They have binomial system of nomenclature. That means naming the plant or animal into by their two scientific names. It's very, very difficult and it is very boring. So to bring those, even one biomolecule chapter is also there. In chemistry, they have it in chemistry as well as biology also in the 11 and 12. So that is also a very boring chapter. So how do we improvise it? and make it into a fun learning chapter. Now, how do we do it? See, my holistic activities, when you said that field trip, okay. So, when you see the field trip case, so field trip is actually what? When you take a child to the field trip, you give your children an active learning experience. Okay, so what is active learning experience? For example, see, I want to identify the plants and the animal and categorize that. So we can always take the child into a field trip. Then I ask the children to just collect the things. Just collect the things and bring it to me, what you know and what you don't know. So for 50, even you can have it for nursery KG1 children. Nursery KG1 children, if you are nursery KG1 children, if you are taking them to the trip, what will happen? See, living and non-living things you can collect and bring. If you are bringing the living and the non-living, that is also a live experience. Instead of telling things that can move, things that have life are living, things, even plants and animals. So these are the things. These are the things. These are the things that is very, very important, and that is actually known as joyful learning. Now, there are certain do's and don'ts when we are having this joyful learning. See, negative experience can sometimes hinder learning. Now, what I was telling, that we learn from our mistakes. Fine. We learn from our mistakes. Okay. Now, what is we learn from our mistakes? Now, sometimes, we condemn our children for their mistakes. That is a great mistake from our part. Whenever we are experiencing this holistic learning process, the main thing, yes, by blowing a balloon, I couldn't read that, ma'am. I'm sorry if this thing, but here, negative experience can sometimes hinder learning. What I'm coming to the topic is, see, we learn from our mistakes. We can make mistakes. We can ponder, we can reflect, and we can always proceed forward. But sometimes as teachers, now who is a teacher? Who is a teacher in the modern educational platform? Can anybody tell me one word? One word. Who is a teacher? Yes. The role of a teacher is what? In the education system, in schools, teachers are motivators. Okay, motivators, but one word, technical term. Technical term. Yes, anybody? No, these are not the answer. No. Guide. Another word for guide? Idol, that is something different. Mentor, okay. Another word. No. Provide knowledge, coming to it. Educators. Yes, exactly. Facilitator. Somebody wrote, but it went off. Yes, a facilitator. That means facilitator is a person who imparts knowledge. See here, if we follow the education system pattern, okay, if we follow UDL, Universal Design for Learning, here, a teacher is a facilitator, one who facilitates education, or one who facilitates the content or delivers the content to the children. How he delivers is the learning outcome. What they learn, what they learn is a learning outcome. Okay, but way the delivering the knowledge, the method of delivering the knowledge, they are plenty. The path you choose is your own discretion. But one thing you should understand, the person in front of you, is the children belonging to this era, modern era, very much equipped with the 21st century skill. They are skilled. And the other part is, they have got a voice, they have got a choice. They can choose from whichever platform they need to get the education. So why? Because modern education system is child centric. So whenever you are giving them live experience, art integration experience, sport integration experience, they are bound to make mistakes. But I am coming to that, because we driving you all the way, because they need a space. That space is very, very important for the growth, the mental growth, physical growth, emotional growth, as well as growth in the learning experience. So that space you have to give them. Whenever, see, our education system we assess the children by short rubrics. What are the short assessment? Daily check-ins. We have the periodics. Formative is a short assessment. After that, you have the terminal. So when you have the terminal, the space between the periodic and the space between the terminal is actually a time given to the child to reflect on the previous experience and come to it. So never give a negative experience to your child for their mistake. Why? Because that reflection time they can do better. So that is the main thing. See, our education system, if we are following the CBSE pattern, it is one of the best. So how do we implement experiential learning? That is very, very important. See, giving an experience is a very nice one. But how you are going to implement this experiential learning, that is very, very important. Now, see, sometimes we can give a sport integration experience in any subject. How? You see, in my school, one of the teacher did that. I'm just sharing with you. Okay. Now what she gave, she, see, whenever achievement is done, acknowledgement is very, very important. Acknowledge small reward. That means what? Whatever the child has done, please acknowledge that and give them a praise. Okay. So that is very, very important. See, telling somebody, it's excellent, you can do better. You were you were left behind. Next time always it's better. So this type, if we are giving them, it is always a joyful experience for them. Now, what I was telling, that in my school, one of my teacher did, she is an English teacher. Okay. So English, you have synonyms and antonyms always there. So whenever synonyms and antonyms is there, always you can use the blackboard, you can use the bulletin board, and sometime, if you have time, and you can use small placards like that and write a particular word. For example, huge. Okay. For example, you can write thin. Okay. So you keep it at the end of the ground and give little space, and the child has to run from that place and find out the antonyms of fat. So they will run, they will find, and as a reward you can give anything. So that is how, that is an example, sport integrated learning. Okay. So I'm just giving you an example. Okay. Because see, you are the Cinderella of your classroom, and this is the only profession, where so much prestige, so much regard is given to a teacher. This is the only profession, isn't it? So you have 40 attentions on you. Whichever, see, which other profession has this much importance? So since you are given that much importance, it is you and you whose sole methodology, or any methodology is anything, it is your jurisdiction. How do we implement the experiential learning? So it should be always a joyful experience for the children. Now, whenever we are having these holistic activity, and finally, what is the final outcome? See, here in the image, it is just shown that children are helping each other to form a bridge. It's just an image. image. Okay, so that means what? We are preparing the learner to, anybody can get me the word? We are actually preparing the learner future ready and become self learners, self studying. Because that dependency on any, but yes, we are making the child ready for the future. The child has to have a self learning experience. If we are putting the children depending on tuitions, so we are killing their cognitive thinking, the power to think, and that psychomotor activity. See, I'll come to that, the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Then again, we'll come to all those, because these are all methods that we have been following for so many years, and we need to go through it. Okay, so we have to prepare the learners so that they self-learning, individual learning, that dependency on the other is gone away. Okay, so they can understand on themselves. So we prepare better learners. Okay, because if you are forcing the child just to mug up, so that is a wrong way. Okay, then here, select the experience. So this is a very important thing. We have to do it. That means we have to select the right kind of an experience. See, for example, sport integration or any art integration, if we are doing, we won't let the child into any sort of a hazard, isn't it? Art integration also, ऐसा नहीं कि उसमें कुछ खतरा भी हो, okay, उसे चोट लगे, या फिर for example project work. If we are making a project work, asking a child to make a project work, holistic activity, but that should be realistic. Again, our education system is a realistic approach. That means what we learn today should relate to our daily life. Okay, and should not be in that seventh cloud nine. We are thinking of fairies and all that imagination. Okay, that is a different way. We can use this. We can use these kind of mythology and fairy tales in drama storytelling. That way we can do. We can let them imagine. But whenever you give an experience, that experience should be realistic experience, and that is somewhere the motto of CBSE. That realistic experience and realistic study related to the practical experience. And for example, project work, don't give them a kind of a project work or an activity that is very, very unreal and beyond their approach. Okay. So I just tell you one incident. One of my colleague, he was from the physics section. So we had to make some project work, every time in a district competition like that. So he imagined of a very weird suggestion that he would make a wheelchair that is sensory to object. And can a school child within the domain of the school and the parents and afford to make that kind of a thing? Practically the cost of one wheelchair was coming to 4 lakh. Neither the management nor the parents could afford such a useless project. So whenever you select an experience, select an activity, it should be very much practical and should be a realistic approach. That is very, very important. Now, whenever you give them an experience, reflection of the experience is also very, very important. Give them that time, give them that space. That reflection of the experience is very, very important, because if reflection of the experience is not there, the entire activity, whatever you give them, the outcome would be zero. Now here is again another approach. An experimental learning cycle is to prepare the order in which these learning takes place. I have already said, first you give them the experience, then you give them the reflection, then that insight. What is that insight? The action is psychomotor, but what is that insight? It is actually the brainstorming activity that you have given them from the live experience, the hands-on activity. Okay, so that is how you, and then employ the whole learning cycle. From so long, I had been telling you that first give them the experience, then you give them the experience to reflect. After they reflect, they come out with that. So this would be the way how the whole cycle works. See, learn new skills, new attitudes, and new way of thinking. See, skill and thinking, both goes in pair. If the new skill is there, if the child does not think, see, whenever we are having the question papers, we have got those case-based questions, right? So those case-based questions is entirely based on critical thinking. Have you seen those? Pondered on that? So that critical thinking, how will the child have that critical thinking until and unless you give them a experience so that they think better? So that is what very, very important. So giving the experience is very, very important. Now here, stages of experiential learning. So there are various stages how the experience should go on. So can anybody tell me what is the first stage of the cycle? When we are dealing with the experiential learning cycle, can anybody just tell me what is the first stage? What is the first stage of holistic activity? Yes, anybody? From home, from observation. Okay. Cognitive. Cognitive comes the reflective path, Cognitive is one of the thing, but not the first stage. What is the first stage? Uh, Emotional, social emotional. No. Experience, right, Smriti? Thank you so much. So first primary is you have to give the child the experience to learn. So that is the first step. And after experience, what is the second phase? Yes, experience. Now, tell me what is the second phase? Yes, observation and experience goes together. Primary stage is E. What is it? I cannot read again. Second is observation. Reflection. Yes, excellent. That means you all of them, if you are so interactive, definitely you were watching the session. So that is my outcome. Thank you so much for giving me such excellent answer. Reflection. Yes, reflection is the second part. And what is the third part? What is the third part? Yes. Let me see anybody with the third part. First two correct. What is the third part? Thinking, obviously thinking. And finally is the result. Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you, for such wonderful answers. Thank you so much. And again, what is the concrete experience? Concrete experience means what? Whenever the first experience you are giving to the children, it should be concrete. That means what? Your demonstration, your way of explaining should be very, very concrete. That means what? Whenever you are giving them an experience, first thing is you should have a better experience than the children. For example, if you are asking your child to make a firki, obviously you should know that first. After you know that, the reflection will come out, your experience will be there, then training. That is very, very important. See, whenever we are giving them experience, we are also training them how to handle a situation. See, when I was starting the session, one slide I had shown you where philosophy of reflection is there. So there one word was there, problem solving. So problem solving is another skill that is never out of dated. That never goes outdated. So this training of the experience is very, very important. So you have to give a proper training so that this holistic activity gives you a positive result. Okay, so that is the reason training is very, very important. You need to have the training. Okay, now advantages of experiential learning. What is the advantage? So many things. You give cognitive, you give reflection, finally you come out. So what is actually, basically, what is the advantage of experiential learning? What do you gain from it? What is basically the advantage of experiential learning? Just tell me. Anybody? Yes, easy to understand. Yes, easy to understand, obviously. Easy to learn. Okay. Another one word. You are very close, but you are missing the one. You are very close. Easy to learn, easy to learn. Okay, it's easy to learn. Okay, it's easy to learn. But what do you do with the learning? Analysis, evaluation. Yes, evaluation is our part, Easy to teach. Obviously, if you choose the holistic way, it's easy to teach. But I want ability to reflection, no. Application. Application. Yes, you were very close. Assignment. Understanding the same. That particular word is missing. You carry forward, easy to imply. Yes, actually what you do, if the advantage of experiential learning, you get a better outcome. You get better learners. Okay, assignments and all, these are ways of how you evaluate. You see the progress of how the experience is going on is through assessment. Okay, so listen, one thing I want to just tell you, that what is the advantage of experiential learning? Actually, we create learners and we give them the learning memory through the experience, right? This experience give them a lifelong memory, a better understanding of that particular subject. Okay, so whenever we are doing one thing, again I want to clarify again, that whenever we are doing that assessment and evaluation, that is not the only part of our education. Generally assessment is content driven. Okay, whatever content is there in your syllabus or there in the curriculum, that has to be given to the children through this learning experience. And evaluation is, you judge how much the content has been given. So ultimately the end product is the learning outcome. Okay, so the learning outcome is fulfilled. See, what we are doing in the classroom is a teaching learning experience and teaching learning outcome. So that is the main part where we have to work. Now see here, if we have better learners, today, we have better educated professionals in the days to come, in the future. So that is the main motto of education. Why do we educate? Why do we educate? We educate today's children so that we have better learned society tomorrow. So in a society, we have so many skilled professions. We need the skill. To get that skill in the tomorrow's children, today's children has to be trained through this experiential mode of learning. So we develop leadership capability to a significant level. Yes, developing entrepreneurship, leadership quality, nation builders. We have them in our hand today. So we give them these experiences, holistic experience, hands-on experience, activity experience, so that they learn better, they skill better. And in that sense, we also excel their skills that is innate in them. What is inborn in them, we take out the best of it. See, I started with the first slide, that where Albert Einstein said that if you teach the fish to climb a tree, throughout his life he would believe that he was a stupid. That means what? If art integration activities are there, we see the finest painters, not only painters, craftsmen, you find it there. Whenever you are giving a working model in a project, You find out and locate the child who are excellent in mechanics. You bring them out. Then when we give for presentation, for project presentation, even any subject, for higher classes, you can always have that. So when children can present, they become entrepreneurs, right? They give the leadership quality is excelled. Okay, that fear is gone. Clear? Now, whenever this experiential learning is there, easy to transfer knowledge and skills. See, that mode you have to take. That always this experiential learning, sometimes, there are many things. I told the example that some chapters, children don't want to learn. They are very reluctant because it is very boring. See, we cannot say that every chapter is a very, very interesting one, and everybody, whoever taking up, for example, science or whatever subject, maths, everything they will enjoy. No, because liking and disliking is there, and some chapters are so dull you don't even want to learn. Children may not want to learn that. So if holistic activities are collaborated with this content, it is very easy to transfer knowledge and skill. So that is the reason, that is also one of the advantages, of holistic learning. Now here, whenever you give them an experience, you see the consequences, people and consequences are real. So nothing imaginative. It should be very realistic approach. And this is the final thing, activities, memorable activities. That is a particular word. Whenever you do something enjoyable, you keep them as a happy memory. So this joyful learning experience is also a memorable activity with a holistic one that children remember better. Now, activities, what I said earlier, that activity is always self-initiated. So whenever you are having this self-initiated activity, it should be motivated, and you are the one felicitator, the all intellectual educators. You are the motivators, and it is your responsibility to motivate the child to learn. So this motivation to learn is very, very important. If you do not motivate, so disadvantage of experiential learning, this is also I want to take. I kept this slide because what is the disadvantage of experiential learning? What are what is the disadvantage? Can anybody say just what are the disadvantages? That means when disadvantage is there, you get a negative. See, too much of entertainment results in loss of focus on learning. See, activity, too much of activities, too much of entertainment results in loss of focus on learning. That means what? Whenever you are having any experiential learning projects and all that, make sure that you don't drift from the content, you don't drift from the syllabus. That is also very, very important. So that is why I wanted to deal with it. Now here, learning outcomes are not predictable. If you are having a class of 40 children, it is not that all 40 children will have 100% learning experiences. So this learning outcomes is very unpredictable. Even if you use the best of holistic methods, you have to make sure that this learning outcomes is child oriented, student oriented, learner oriented. So you have to see how what is the need. You have to act according to the learning needs. Activities should be based and drafted on the learning needs of the children. Negative emotions that the learner may experience, yes, that has to be there. You have to see to it that if you don't have a. So finally, experiential learning takes place when the learners gain knowledge through their reflection based on daily experiences. So that is also very, very important. Every day we learn something. That is what is there. So finally, thank you all so much for such a wonderful interaction. I really enjoyed taking the session today because, whenever you are talking alone, just looking at your system, and the other side is nobody is there. So you also feel very monotonous. So finally, this I had a wonderful experience, and finally,
Thank you,
hope
ma'am.
you liked my session. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. It was very nice and very informative session.
Thank you so much, ma'am.